Mic check. Uh-oh, we gotta get the mic fixed. Man, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Let me make sure this mic is set. There we go. All right, we got the mic set. Let's see if I turn this bitch up to 200. Yo, yo, yo. I'm gonna turn it back down to 100. All right, peace of love, health, and wealth. What's going on? I'm here with another collective love reading for you guys. This is going to be for those who, you know, who wasn't able to watch this on the who wasn't able to catch this live or whatever. So whenever y'all come here to my channel and I was live and y'all aren't able to, check out the live, always know that there's going to be a collective reading. All right. So I would like to welcome you. I would like to welcome you all. And most importantly, I just want to say, what's that? All right, can y'all hear me? All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so um, I guess the first reading we're gonna do is gonna be for singles and individuals. Because this is primarily a love reading channel, then um, more than likely, the collective readings are going to be more geared towards love readings. So let's go ahead and get this started. All right, so starting off for the singles, I'm gonna pull 3 love oracle cards and see where we're gonna get with that. All right, so the first card we got is intuition, heart song, telepathy, and inner knowing. Heart song, telepathy, and inner knowing. The second card we have here is going to be beginnings. Try again, new direction, start over. Try again, new direction, and start over. All right. Now remember, this is the singles reading. Now, do remember this is the singles reading, guys. What's up, country? How you doing, beautiful? All right. And last but not least, we have the releasing card. Okay. Letting go, moving on, and walking away. Letting go, moving on, and walking away. So now that we got 3 cards to give us, somewhat of a clearer picture, Uh, would you like to be a moderator over here, country? I got a feeling a couple of my other moderators ain't gonna make it over here. All right. So for the singles out there, what I'm seeing here, and congratulations, by the way. Congratulations, by the way. Okay. So what I'm seeing here is um it seems like the heart is leading us to a new beginning. Now, for some of us, um well, this is a singles reading, so let me go ahead and make sure that I take care of business on the single side, right? I'm doing okay. Uh, I'm doing all right. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm on here trying to get things going, you know. So what I'm seeing here is our intuition is leading us to want or need to be in a new relationship. As a love coach, as a life coach, etc., I always recommend that if you're single now, stay single until you do some work on yourself. I'm not saying that you haven't done any work. I'm not saying that you haven't made any progress or anything like that. But what I'm saying is when it come down to it, um, when you really want a new beginning, you can't take it's a saying, right? The saying is you can't take what is it saying? You can't take old people, trust our intuition, release things that don't serve us, prepare for the new beginning our heart desires. Yes. Yes. That is definitely on point. If I can add 2 cents to that, because I'm getting I don't know what to say, a download or upload, whatever, I don't know. But what I'm seeing here is when you go into the details of the cards, what I'm seeing here is our intuition is telling us maybe it could be us being lonely, maybe it could be us being cold, maybe it could be us horny, right? Maybe it could be us wanting a dad for our children. But whatever is pushing us towards a new beginning, right? I feel like it has something to do with the heart. I really feel like it's the heart overall that's really pushing us towards a relationship. And I'm not saying that we're not ready for the relationship. I'm not saying that we're not ready for the relationship, but what I'm saying is that in order to really truly be successful in the relationship, we got to make sure we do all the work that we can before we actually get in the relationship. I always say that it's unfair for you and the person that you've fallen in love with for you to be trying to heal yourself, raise yourself, get to know yourself, right? Balance yourself, all these spiritual words, right? Balance yourself, ground yourself, grow yourself. It's unfair for you to figure out who and what you are and trying to figure out who somebody else in is and trying to, you know what I'm saying, fall in love and you know what I'm saying, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like the least you can do is come to the table at least with some sort of idea, at least with some sort of thoughts and feelings in mind about where you could possibly. Oh my God, I did not mean to do that. How do I go back really quick? Oh, I just closed out one of the tabs that I needed. Let me go back to YouTube real quick, guys. So, so get into that third card because this first two cards is very heavy to me. I don't know why, but they are. So I believe that this reading is actually indicating a possible blockage that we could have in the area. Excuse me. I'm sorry if that was loud. And so, if we do get any blockages in the area, I think that this releasing card is saying that it's time to let go and really move on. Now because this is a singles read and dang, somebody just unsubscribed. Want. All right, because this is a singles reading, that it could mean it could be an indication or it could be a possibility that we've been having somebody lingering in our energy for a while. Maybe over the new year, maybe over things, not Thanksgiving, maybe even back that far, right? But maybe since the new year, or maybe since Valentine's Day, or leading up to Valentine's Day, maybe we could have been having somebody hitting us up. Maybe we could have, you know what I'm saying? In which, oh, my phone going dead, super dead. I ain't gonna be on here too long because then my phone gonna overheat when I plug it up. So what I'm seeing here is there could have been things, whether it's internal, like memories, etc., or it could have been other things externally that we need to release in order to fully move on and to fully walk away. And the reason why I say that is because w- if we keep bouncing around person to person unhealed, then we're probably going to be attracted to the same unhealed things in those people. You understand? Long story short, what I'm trying to say is that it's a high chance, and I mean a very high chance, that we can continue the same patterns on the reason why that we currently single now. You know what I'm saying? And just to comment on that, country, I don't believe that a person has to be 100% anything before they get into a relationship. I think a lot of people hear what I say, not you, but just a talking point. I think a lot of people take what I say and think that I'm telling you like be single forever or this one or that one. Because a lot of people feel like you will never ever fully be healed, and I don't believe that, right? A lot of people feel like you will never really ever truly be perfect, and I don't believe that either. Well, perfect maybe, but that don't mean you can't be better at any given time. I like to say, excuse me. What I like to say is that we have to become what's called a whole half. Because if the whole point of getting into a relationship is to be, to come together as one, then you gotta be able to be your half. Yes, we are constantly healing. I get that, but at least come willing to put in the work. Yeah, now I get what you on that. Yeah, I believe that some things we can heal and just let it be healed, but a lot of people wait for the memories to leave to say I'm healed. A lot of people, they wait for things that shouldn't be exclusive to the healing. You know what I'm saying? Because the memories, for example, is always going to be there. Now, what we can do is put in the work, and then those cycles of those memories coming back can be less and less and less and less over time till they don't come back at all, until we're actually triggered. But then, even once we get to that point, we should be able to fight that trigger. So what you talk about is exactly what I'm leading to, which is becoming a whole half. What's up, puppy? What you doing? You jealous? So what I mean by becoming a whole half is when you becoming a whole half, right? Let's just say, for example, since you here, let's just say me and you was to start the date, is to start talking or whatever, right? And we getting to know each other, right? And so some of the things that I'm going to ask you is like, do you like cooking? Um, do you like washing dishes? Do you believe it's a man's job to take out the trash? Do you think it's a man's job to provide solely? And do you think it's a woman's job to sit in the house? Right? And so those are just a few examples of the questions that I would ask, because at the end of the day, I feel like it's very important to get those foundational pieces, right? Um as a 35-year-old man, I kind of know, right? Maybe I had to bump my head the hard way and learn the hard way, but maybe I had to bump my head and learn the hard way, but win, lose, or draw, I'm here now today. And I know exactly what I like. I know what I don't like. If you tell me something that I'm not too familiar with, I should be able to tell you if I'm willing to try it or not. Like it's just certain levels of things that I just know. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, do you want kids? Do you believe in whoopings? Do you want to travel? Are you scared of airplanes? Right? Oftentimes these everyday questions don't get asked until the one night stand is over, until somebody is pregnant, till somebody moved in, till y'all downtown at City Hall looking for a witness, right? Like oftentimes these everyday basic mundane questions don't get answered until later on. And I feel like the more work we put in the future, the longer our honeymoon is going to be. I mean, the more work we put in right now, the longer and the better our honeymoon is going to be in the future. You see what I'm saying? Even at 35 years old, I'm quite sure I have some contemporaries out here, men and women who don't know what they want out of life. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know what they want. Sit down. Go. Because you just came in the house. You should have used the bathroom when you was out there yelling at people. Go. You're not about to be ringing that bell, getting on my nerves. Come on now. All right. So, like I was saying, man, when you're talking about getting into a relationship with a person, I believe that you gotta have as many details planned out about your future you as possible. I don't. A lot of maybe it's because me dating women. I don't know. I don't really date men. I really can't recall one actually. But with that being said, I think what I'm about to say is because of a particular reason. And so what I've learned over my years is that there's a lot of people, women, who don't know what they want and how they want it. There's a lot of women, even when you're talking about like the dating shows and stuff like that, there's a lot of women that says, "I want a man to lead. I want a man to take control. I want a man to know what he want. I want a man who got a plan for the future. I want a man who's a provider. I want a man with a plan." Long story short. And all of that's fine. But what happens when the man you want wants to know what's your plan? Because there's a lot of women who and it's equal on both ends, right? But it's in different areas. There's a lot of women who believe that only thing I got to do is shut up, be pretty, cook and clean, and my life would be great. I don't have to read a book. I don't have to be athletic. I don't have to work out. I don't even have to learn how to cook because the man I love is going to be rich. And then they get 21, it still don't happen. They get 25, 30, and maybe they had some opportunities, but maybe they turned some dudes down. Maybe they got married and then got a divorce. Then they hit 35, 40. Then they start to get scared. Then when you start talking about the danger zone, like what's his name? Kevin Samuels used to talk about. Then you start talking about the danger zone. And when you start talking about the danger zone, sorry about that. When you start talking about the danger zone, that's the area in life where it's almost like, well, I might be too old to have kids. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. My whole job as a love coach, life coach, etc., is to help prevent that from happening, right? And one strategy that I came up with is being a whole half. Being a whole half doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire. Being a whole half doesn't mean you have to have all the cars you want, all the but if I go into a date with a young lady, I'm gonna I the more I don't knows she gives me when I'm asking questions, the tougher it's gonna be because I'm asking you questions to figure out if our vision align for the future, right? That's when two whole halves come together, right? Once you become a whole half, once you know who, what, when, where, why. And these things ain't got to be set in stone either, right? But if somebody asks you who, what, when, where, why, and how, and wow, and all that stuff for the next 5 years, 10 years, you got to have something to give them. You got to be able to say something somehow, some way, right? And then so, piggybacking on, because I think I missed the point, and I'm a double back, but um, yes, we are constantly healing. And the reason why agree with that constantly healing thing, because there's constantly things that's triggering us to hurt us. And for the most part, most people can't separate day to day activities, hour to hour, minute to minute, minute to minute. A lot of people can't separate the stress from work, from the stress at home, from the stress at school, to the stress at the kids' school, to the stress at the daycare, to the stress at the repo man. A lot of people draw all of those stressors together and they can't separate them, right? So the reason why I say healing is possible is because yes, we can heal from one thing, but we can't catastrophize and let things constantly continue. That is a no-no. When you catastrophize and you constantly draw parallels between traumatic events and you say, "Oh, look at me. It's always this and it's always that." And I'm a victim of that too, right? I'm a victim of my own self-sabotage by saying, "Oh, I'm so tired of this and this is always happening to me and I'm sad and I'm this and I'm that." And before I would never be that honest about things. So I don't really look at it as me cursing myself. More or less it is that me I need to vent sometimes, right? For over 30 years I've held stuff in and it only came out at the most crucial points of time. And so now, by me being 35, I got the voice now. I got the thoughts and the wherewithal to go behind everything that I'm saying. Right. So when you talk about at least being ready to pull to do the work, you would know when somebody's ready to do the work because they're going to be actively doing the work. Even if they took a break or even if they, went on vacation or a spiritual vacation where they just eating candy and staying up late, whatever, right? You would know be it by the conversation that the people having, right? You would know by so where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? Only an immature person to tell you like, nah, that ain't this and that ain't that. Hi, can I ask how did you learn how to do Reiki and does it really work? I learned Reiki by taking a course. And do Reiki work? That's a loaded question. Does Reiki work? The reason why I say that's a loaded question is because I can't flat out say yes. I am not a medical professional and I cannot claim to cure, right? Because there's a patent on the word cure. And then all of these words that we got, like cancer, HIV, diabetes, all of these things are patented. Um, well, I'll say this. I know this for a fact, so this is not speculation, right? Most of the illnesses that we suffer from today is actually symptoms of something else. And that's some 9 times out of 10, if you suffering from lupus, diabetes, all of these um chronic autoimmune disorders especially, 9 times out of 10 is coming from a patented virus. All right. I can provide proof of that, right? Even me being a diabetic, I believe that me being a diabetic is not a cause for my sickness. I believe that there was something going on the molecular structure of my DNA for years before I became a diabetic. And let me tell you, even the doctor said it. He asked me, "Was anybody in my family diabetic?" I said, "No." But I know where he was going. He was going with that whole hereditary conversation. But he switched it up. But no, 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 no. Wait, let me rewind it. Let me make sure I'm about to say what I'm about to say is right. So what happened? Okay, I don't know how the conversation started. Maybe it'll come to me later. But what happened was the doctor told me being diabetic is genetic. That's what happened. And I say, whoa, that blew my mind for the simple fact that if nobody is in my family is that I know of, right? Mom, I don't know my dad, but mom, etc. If nobody I know is diabetic, and it was onset in my late 20s, right before I turned 30, and if the doctor's saying it's genetic, then that's only mean one thing. So there, when the doctors say something is genetic, is two things that one of two things that they saying. They saying that your genes or your DNA has been altered, or they saying that you was passed down something from a. So by him saying that my sickness comes from the genetic, he said it's genetics or something like that. He said he used a very he I believe he couldn't tell me what he wanted to tell me, but he gave me food for thought for me to go do research on my own. He said it was genetic. So I'm thinking like, okay, nobody, not my sisters, not my brothers, as far as I know, not my aunts and uncles, right? So as far as I know, nobody is diabetic. So it's not a gene that was passed down, but what happened was it was a gene that was altered in my body, right? So the whole point of me telling you that is that um well, I wasn't even done. There's more I got to tell you before I even get to that. Um There's only two ways that your genes, I'm gonna say two ways. Maybe I need to do more research, but it's only a few ways your molecular structure can change. And by all means, when I say this, molecular structure doesn't mean your entire body DNA anyways. Um but it's two main reasons why your DNA would change. RNA, NA, um RNA and or DNA viruses or environmental things like that shifts your epigenetics. But the thing is that when you're talking about viruses that because viruses is not alive or dead because viruses are just information. That's why they say you can't kill a virus because a virus is information. So when I explain viruses to people, I tell people think about a flash drive where you put in a flash drive and you think you're about to open up a picture, but when you open up the picture makes a million copies of itself. Well, there's viruses out here. Well, if you understand what for example, if you understand what cancer is, then you understand that that's a genetic malfunction where the DNA is infinitely replicating and is not dying, right? So I bring that up to say there is viruses out here that will mimic autoimmune disorders, but we treat the lupus, we treat the diabetes, we treat all of these things and we never get better. And the reason why is because the lupus is a symptom. An autoimmune disorder is a symptom because there is no way a healthy immune system, and I'm going to say this shit loud and clear, there is no way a healthy immune system just turns on itself one day. That's just like having a remote control, well, not a remote control car, a self-driving car, and then one day it just you put in a GPS and then it drives you straight off a bridge. Like the only way that that could happen is if the motherboard has been corrupted with a virus. You get the analogy? You see how we got a computer virus and we got a human virus? It's funny how it's the same. Like the way you even describe it sounds similar, right? You open up an email or you download a file, aka somebody cough on you, and then once you open up, right? Because a lot of these viruses are enclosed in what's called envelopes. All right. And the envelopes is like a mucosal layer and stuff like that. So you open up the envelope and it hijacks programming and it makes the program do things that it wasn't normally programmed to do. Okay. A lot of people with autoimmune disorders, HIV, etc., is suffering because their genes has been reprogrammed to do something that it wasn't normally well, it wasn't originally designed to do. That doesn't mean that it can't or it don't have the ability to do those things, but again, those things, how can I say that? I don't even remember what I was saying. So in closing, to answer your question, overall, do Reiki work? Yes. In the grand picture of things. Now there is some things that modern science. Oh, I turned on the echo. I didn't mean to, or whatever I just did. Now there is some things that modern science um can only be cured or helped. All right, I put it like this. Some things you need to go see a doctor about. Some things you need to see a doctor and a herbalist about. Some things you need to see a doctor or herbalist and an energetic healer about. And some things, once it get to a point, the only thing you can do is go to an energetic healer, unfortunately. But it really just depends on who the person is, what do they believe in, do they have any blockages about Reiki, right? Do they believe Reiki is fake? Stuff like when you look at what is that called? The placebo effect. A lot of people are suffering from illness and disease that's not caused by what I just described. A lot of people is hypochondriacs and they manifested their own disease by woe is me mentality, by always being angry, upset, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like you could create disease for yourself too, in which an energetic healer or a herbalist or a doctor can help you, but 9 times out of 10, the results is going to be slight and or temporary. They won't be long lasting or permanent. So, uh, I would say whenever you're dealing with something, always go to the doctor first. Always go get your test and all of that stuff done. And then you take the information that the doctor give you and you go see your herbalist. You go see your energy healer. You go, but I would never ever tell nobody, yes, Reiki work. No, don't go to your doctor ever again. Nothing like that. There's legal ramifications behind that, so I would never do that. All right. Oh, I forgot to charge my phone. My phone about to overheat and go dead. I said I wasn't gonna be on here that long, and sitting here just blowing air. Well, hopefully somebody will be able to receive from that, right? She said, like a toilet, we can only take so much, then we're gonna blow up. If you still here, tell me what that is a reference to, because I seen it when it came in, but I was knee deep in talking about what I was talking about. So, all right, my phone charging. It's 9 o'clock now. I'm gonna give up on this thing tonight, baby. All right, anybody still here in the chat? Cause I just been blowing my breath, blowing, 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 blowing. Oh, it said we got one viewer, so that means everybody left. All right, y'all. Well, Don't nobody got any more questions, comments, or concerns? I guess I'm gonna go ahead and slide on up out of here, man. I don't wanna overstay my welcome, even though this is my channel. All right, y'all. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be of service to you all. If my homegirl ain't here no more, I think I'm about to just go ahead and slab on up out of here, man. So I'll leave it going for another minute or two, and then I'ma slide on up out of here. All right, y'all. We 37 minutes in, so got about 10 seconds left. All right, y'all. So it's been an honor and a pleasure. And I'll catch y'all later, man. I'll probably be back on a late night, man, just to see what's cracking lacking, just to see what's going on. Somebody just left. I don't know. I thought I was the only one in here. All right, y'all.